Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Taurus. If Taurus is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so Taurus, this is a bonus reading, and our card tonight is the Page of Swords. And if you go off of the Thoth system or tarot deck, which I usually use for my readings, this would be like the Princess of Swords, okay? So let's get started. Okay, and what are these tea leaves going to tell us tonight? And so if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. Also, if you want to hit the like button or leave a comment, please do. I read them all. They mean the world to me, absolutely. And if you're new to the channel, shout it out in the comments. I love seeing and hearing. We have new people coming and visiting, and some are staying, and it's always nice to see. Okay. So I feel like there is a real desire. This is the first thing that came to mind, right? That there is some strife within a relationship. I almost feel like this is maybe with your grown child. Maybe they're a teenager. Maybe they're an adult. They have their own family and all this. It could be that this is a sibling, that this is a good friend, or even a spouse. But I feel like there is an age gap there, right? They're a generation or two younger. And there's a desire. We have two people right here. 1, 2. There's a desire to mend things. Now, we also have another person here and another person here, and they're both facing each other in these groups. We also have an angel right here. You can see kind of the body, like they're flying. Here's the head, a harp, and a person standing here looking up towards the angel. So I feel like it's really like you're in prayer, right? You're asking, you're appealing, please, divine, please, cosmos, please, God, goddess, whatever it is, right? Whoever you're talking to, whoever that higher power might be, or that, there could be a lot of them. You could have a pretty stacked pantheon there. But I see you hoping, praying, wishing for, appealing. Please let us find a place of peace. I don't want to have to wait for something extreme or terrible to happen for us to get on the same page again. And I think this is the worry. I don't want to have to get super sick and reach out to them and be like, hey, listen, I'm sick. Can we mend this? Can we be, close again? Can we be on good terms at least? This is something that you want to happen before there has to be some dire circumstance to bring you back together. And now, I wonder, and this is because we have the Page of Swords, and this always gives me vibes of somebody who is young and passionate and very intelligent and interested in the world and finding their place and finding an understanding and maybe getting a little bit swept away in these very kind of heated and volatile beliefs or, movements or whatever it is, right? We all know right now, at least in the United States, if you're somewhere else, you maybe feel some of the ripples, but you also have probably your own government stuff going on, right? Politics. I'm not going to get too far into it. I don't ever want to take a stance. I will not. I don't like to talk about it. I don't even like to really talk about it in my private life, if I'm being honest. But we know there are a lot of people around us, right? Getting real fired up. Especially getting on the internet, right? On social media. Arguing. Getting combative. We've been through this a lot in the last few years. 10 years even, right? I don't even know. How long has it been? Feels like a long time now. These waves of things happening, and it only seems to be more and more. But right now, we're in the election season, right? And you can't help to be confronted by it. It's everywhere. And I feel like this is a person where they maybe just have really different beliefs, and they might be very vocal, pushy about them. Maybe even somewhat disrespectful. Going after their elders, going after people in their family, arguing, fighting, alienating themselves. And now, listen, we're all allowed to have our beliefs and our understandings and our passions and our, the things that we really care about. And that doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. It does not. But it doesn't make it any easier when you're in conflict. And it feels so hollow to be fighting about stuff with somebody who you love, who you maybe even grew inside you, who you maybe even raised, maybe even raised them by yourself. You put everything into it. And now you can't even have a conversation without, going off the deep end. And I feel like this is such a heartbreak. It is such a heartbreak. And I see you asking for guidance. I see you trying to figure out, how do I make this work? How do we come back together? Because this is not worth falling out over. This is not worth us losing our histories together to some... oops, I hate to lie. I'm getting passionate over here. To some abstract idea, right? And yeah, you might say, Lenor, all of these things affect us. Yeah, they do. They do. But you can be a person that sits and watches the doom all day long and worry and terrorize yourself over it. Or you can be somebody who takes action in your life. In your life, not the life online, not the life, discussing and arguing and, things out there, but taking an active role in the world that is immediately around you. Can you force other people to do that? No, but you wish, right? You wish that you could just show them. Listen, when we feel like we have no control over these things, when we feel lost at sea, I mean, and really, right? And worried about people I'll never meet, making decisions that will affect not only my life, but other people's lives around me. How do we find some peace in our own life? How do we find a sense of stability? Yeah, we get busy learning things, figuring out how to do stuff. Whenever I feel like I don't know what to do in my life, when things are falling apart, when I have no clear understanding of what my next step might be or what the future might hold, what do? I go on the internet, right? I go on the YouTubes, I go on the WikiHows or whatever. I find something to learn how to do. How to unclog a sink, how to clean a grout, how to, I don't know. Well, for me, I like to study about indigenous plants for my area. That's the big thing I've been working towards, right? Reintroducing indigenous plants to the property I live on. Learning how to do things, studying, researching, finding new crafts or passions or something that makes you feel like, hey, you know what? I can learn whatever. I can do whatever. I have some power beneath these wings, right? That stuff can't be taken away. That's the thing. Knowledge, power, wisdom cannot be taken away by anybody. Right? Especially if we're continuing to learn how to do it. Oh, the other day I was out at the store somewhere, and now I'm trying to think where was I even, but I saw a rose bush that had so many rose hips on it. Sent me down a rabbit hole. My last house I had, there was one little rose bush when I moved in. And I spent the next 3 years building it up. And now there's 5 or 6 beautiful rose bushes, all coming from the first one. And it was my great joy, right? One of my great joys anyways. But it absolutely. And so now I'm thinking in the future here, maybe next summer is going to be the big one, right? Putting in or beginning a rose garden. And I looked at this bush and I thought, my goodness, this is beautiful. I've only had a couple rose hips come through in that time. So it did. And I feel like once I get my feet on the ground here and I'm able to start working on putting in the rose garden, right? Finding the bushes that I want, finding the flowers that call to me. You can't mess with me. Once I know how to get them those roses growing, you can't mess with me. I might be, faulty in all other areas of my life, but I know how to do this, right? And so I look at this and I feel like, there is a sense of how can we just hear each other? How can we just listen? And how can we find the way to control our communing so that we're not getting triggered and getting upset and saying things that we don't mean or things that are just wildly inappropriate, right? To me, it begins in finding a sense of control in your life, padding it, right, with something that makes you happy. So go to, like, I mean, if you're a crafter or an artist or have any kind of creative inclination at all, go to the art supply store. Go get something new to try. Start working on that and start thinking about, as you are learning this new skill, as you are exploring your creativity, start thinking about, how am I going to reach this person? How am I going to bring down my own fiery, energetic aura, right? And make it a little more inviting. So that when we do talk, if we do, right? If we can get into a conversation here, how can we connect? How can I approach this thing not in a confrontational posture? And even if you just have to kind of plant the seeds, right? It might take some time. It might take weeks, months, years. And I know that's heartache, even thinking about it. But it is worth it. Here's the thing in life that you might think I'm a silly person for this. And don't get it messed up for being a weak person, because it's not. But sometimes we have to surrender a little bit. Sometimes we have to just agree. Sometimes we have to just say, yeah, you're right. You're right. You know, I hear you. I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to listen to you. I might not understand exactly where you're coming from, but I'm not going to argue about it with you. I'm here. I'm your family member. I'm your parent. I'm your beloved. I'm your friend. And I will be here, even if I just absolutely detest what you are saying, thinking, you know, feeling about the world. But me being here, and it's not being a pushover. It's not allowing somebody to walk all over you, but to be non-reactive. To become a place that maybe is a little serene, right? It changes the connection, the atmosphere of the connection. And maybe there will be a moment where they can settle down. I've learned a lot having a child, a very headstrong, and I laugh. She's a Gemini. She's just, she already knows. She's 4 years old. She knows everything. But I've learned the way that you deal with a toddler, a preschooler, pretty much how you have to deal with that most people, right? And sometimes you just have to let them think that they're right. Sometimes you just have to, you know, whatever. If that's what you're going to believe, cool. Let's not talk about it. We don't talk about that at this table, right? Let's keep it to ourselves a little bit. And, you know, ultimately, I think it's about looking at the greater good. And now I know you're a Taurus, and it's maybe a little hard for you because you yourself are probably pretty passionate about your own beliefs, about how you view the world. And so maybe it is worth looking at, where do they get this from? They might not have the same beliefs about life that I do, but they're dang passionate just like I am. And so sometimes we need a little compromise. And I see it coming back together. I see the angels hanging around. Even here. Look at this one. We have an angel right here. And it reminds me of like one of those little wood kind of tchotchke knick-knack things that people have around their house, where they're like the kind of white and the lighter wood color. And it looks like a praying angel. We have a person over here holding a sacred heart. The universe has your back. The universe wants what's best for you. The universe will provide. And we might often have the instinct to change people. You know, you believe something, I can't even wrap my head around it. Let me help fix this. Let me help, like, you know, get you to see where you're wrong. This very rarely is helpful. But what we can do is work on ourselves to be more understanding, patient, and realize, you know, I think so often people take up ideas that are spicy. We'll just call them spicy ideas, because they're at war with themselves. There is a sense of chaos pouring out. And they find reasons, they find things, they find rhetoric that brings negative attention. And, you know, and ultimately that comes from a place of hurt. Whatever that hurt might be. Maybe you look and you think, well, why would you even be angry? What do you have to be angry about? You've had everything in your life, you know? But we never know. We never know why people are hurting. Even if they're our own children, we might not understand what is going on in there. But we can be there by their side. Or we can offer up a place. Hey, when you're ready, I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not giving up on you. I'm not giving up on this situation. I'm not giving up. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. And I do. I find you, you know, really working towards that interior relationship that you do have with the divine. And when we take the time to turn into ourselves and work on our own distortions and hurts and traumas and karmic debts and so on, it shifts the landscape of our life, and it allows us to have very different dynamics with people. And I'll tell you, you know, I am in recovery. I got sober almost 10 years ago, and those first years, it was difficult because I had so many issues, and I had problems with people, and I had hurt people, and people had hurt me, and so on, right? And I never thought in just a few years, 5 years, 4, 5, 6 years, right? That my life would be any different. I thought, I'm just going to live in this shame, this guilt forever. I'm never going to find any footing. I'm just going to, you know, try to live a little quiet, you know, life, and maybe nobody will ever talk to me again, or, you know, and maybe I deserve that. Maybe I did. But I'll tell you what, as I started to do the work, and it wasn't just recovery, it was spiritual work, it was self-work, it was work with a therapist, a variety of therapists, if I'm being honest. I've done a lot of different kinds of therapy. those relationships began to change. Now, some people had to go, right? Some people, you just can't. You can't go back into those dynamics. But there are others that became infinitely strengthened. I found people in my life who I didn't really know that well. Maybe I didn't even really like them that much when I was younger. But they have become my people through this journey. Because I have changed, my life has changed. The energies that I put out have changed. My ability to really be so very understanding and tolerant has changed. Because I am with myself, right? I'm tolerant with myself, which I need to be. Some days, man. But yeah, it is. And it's worth the work because it will. It will change how you are able to be with other people. And I know that you know that, Taurus. And I know that it seems like, you know, when you're in the thick of it with somebody, it feels like this is never going to be any different. But it will be. And I promise you that. Now we have the number 20. 20. And we have, it looks like P-A-T-H. P-A-T-H. Okay, path. So I want you to go look for your life path number. I'm not going to go through a I'm not going to go through a tutorial of how to get that. You can look it up on the internet, right? Get on the whatever browser you use. Go look what formula you need. But go look for your life path. Because I think it's asking you, look at me. See, find some insights about yourself there. And if you already know, if you're already very learned in that, maybe it is that you should be looking up, you know, your child's life path, your family member, whoever that person is, and compare. Right? What is their makeup? What is their configuration here? And how can I figure out how to make these things work together? Because I feel like you are so dedicated. That's why I feel like this is maybe a child. Because it's heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching, heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching. Your heart is, you know, it is aching though. Now we had the number 20. Now we have the number 10 over here. 10. We also have a cactus. And I feel like that is such a sign of survival, right? Where can survive the most arid places. The places that you think nothing can live here. Yeah. You see the cacti. You see the succulents. You see, you know, the creatures. Woo! Scary little creatures out there in the desert. I have to laugh. My daughter, my husband and I, shout out to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My husband and I watched Tremors with my daughter. And if you've never seen that movie, it's ridiculous, but it's great. So go check it out. But it's the worms that they come up. They're giant monsters. And they come up from underneath the ground in the kind of deserty area. And you know, my daughter's like, are there really animals like that in the desert? Yeah, probably. You know, she says, I don't want to go to the desert, Mom. There are naughty worms there. That's what Naughty worms. Those beasts. But it is. We have the cactus, right? And it is a symbol of survival. A symbol of thriving even in the most difficult circumstances, right? Now, here's the thing though. The cactus gets the prickly, you know, it might be the little, the barbs or the little, you know, buttons with the pointy, you know, pin looking things on them. And that is, right? We've been through it. We're survivors. It is an armor. I was thinking shield. It's not shield. An armor, right? That is grown to help you cope, to survive. And so I think it is an indicator once again to look at yourself. Now, I'm not blaming you for this dynamic. Of course not. But we all play our role. And sometimes we have to temper ourselves. We have to be acutely aware of our own demeanor, how we talk to people, how we interact with people, how patient we are, the tone that we take. Are we being dismissive? Are we even listening to what they're saying? You know? And that's not always easy. But it is important. Especially with family, right? Okay, so we have a person sitting here. And I feel like this is really a call to a little bit of leisure, Taurus. A little bit of leisure. Let yourself have an afternoon, a day, a weekend where you can kind of just hang out. Go to the water. Go to the lake. Go to the river. Go to the ocean, wherever it is. The creek or crick. That's what they used to call it when I lived in Pennsylvania. The crick. And just go somewhere and be. Hang out. Get your feet in the mud. You know, sit in your lawn chair, your camping chair, whatever. Just watch. There's just so many things going on out in the woods. So many things going on out by the lake. Just sit and take it in. Let yourself breathe. Okay? All right, so we're going to take a look at our self-care affirmation cards. And I'm just going to flip through. I'm going to stop where it feels right. I'll flip it over. It says, cloud of release. I release my stress and worry like a cloud. It floats away. And all that's left is stillness. In the stillness, I am held by a loving God. In this stillness, I am held by a loving God. Yes. You know, as I was thinking about you out by the water somewhere, sitting in your camping chair, I thought, you know, just feel your shoulders, your jaw, because I know you've been clenching your jaw. Your shoulders have been tight. Feel them releasing that stress, letting your body just kind of relax. It's amazing. It's amazing how stiff and rigid we can become, and we don't even notice it. For me, it's when I take a shower before bed every night. And when I get in there, there's so many days where I don't even realize I'm all like high strung and, you know, just wound up and just knotted. I just feel knotted. And I get in there and the hot water hits me and I'm almost like, I will audibly say, ah, ah, because it's just taking that stress out. And I think, my goodness, I've been carrying myself around like that for the whole afternoon, the whole evening. I want less of that. And I want more of the chill. All right. So, Taurus, I want to tell you I love you because I do, and I thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And, oh yes, if you'd like to leave a comment, please do. I'd love to hear from you. Especially if you're new. I'm trying to remember all the parts here. Especially if you're new. And that's true. When I see comments from people who are, this is your first reading, this is your first time here. Yeah, it makes me super happy. It really does. I'm not going to lie, it does. It makes me excited. So definitely shout it out in the comments. All right. So other than that, I love you. And I'll say that again. I love you, I love you, I love you. Take care of yourself. We'll talk in a few days. Good night, good night, good night.